we have Vanessa here doing a live cooking demo on raw cheesecakes. So let's get started.
Okay, thank you everybody for joining. Let me know if the voice is a little bit low or yeah, I hear my voice, but I always get annoyed by that. So I usually don't like to raise it, but if I have to, I will. So this demo, I did last year savory. I did Caesar salad and mac and cheese, but this year I want to do something sweet. So I'm really excited to share raw cheesecakes. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with them. The beauty of raw cheesecakes is that you have to bake them. And for sure, if you're into, or if you know a little bit about raw foods, getting to get the most of the enzymatic activity from raw foods, that adds a bit extra boost to our life. I'm not saying that cooked food is wrong. I love cooked food, and I'm not fully raw vegan. But I highly embrace raw foods into my life, and I always suggest to people, try to eat at least 40-50% raw, and that's simple, like a salad and a smoothie, and fruit, and a snack. Okay, you have a big chunk of whatever fruit you like, so that's simply, it's a bit low? The earring. Okay. Maybe I take them out.
Maybe just that one side.
Yeah. Oh.
That's better.
Hopefully I'll not leave it here. Okay, yes, so take the advantage of raw foods and eat as much as possible. I know many people who are 100% or 90% raw vegan, and you might wonder, wow, how's that possible? There are many ways to make raw foods. Maybe in the future I'm more into sharing about raw pizza, raw burger, raw falafel, raw breads, raw cookies, raw crackers, etc. But for now I will keep it simple with cheesecakes, because we don't need to dehydrate anything. As long as we don't have to dehydrate, it's not intimidating. When we need to use an Excalibur for dehydrating, is that where we feel like, oh, this is super complex, but it's actually very, very simple. Okay, so I will start the presentation. Well, my name is Vanessa Alonso. They talk a little bit about me. I am a chemist by trade, but my passion is the kitchen, so that's my favorite lab. I work full-time as a chemist, but on my spare time I dedicate to helping people to become vegan and to promote vegan lifestyle, and to try to convince as many people as possible to stop eating animal products. If you want to follow, sometimes I put recipes I make at home, and I have a lot of passion for cooking, so you can find me as Veggienessa. The things I will talk about today, I will talk about tools and equipments that you need for raw cakes. We will explain the crust, the filling, how to make a jelly topping, which is not necessarily raw, but why not, a little bit of fun at the top of the cake. I will prepare the cake, and I will explain a little bit of decoration ideas, and then we will have a cake tasting. So the raw cakes, they need to set. So I prepared 2 big cakes and 1 tiny cake. I made it in advance because they need at least 8 hours. So at the end I will happily share with you those cakes, but I will make one inside for you to see how simple it is actually. And at the end we will have Q&A. If it's too tight of time, I will be a little bit around in case you want to ask a few other things. Very important, I highly support the idea that you taste the food, but if you have any allergies that I'm not aware of, you have to be careful and always say, I'm allergic to this, does this contain this, because I don't want to have anybody with any problems. So any allergies, let us know. And first I will talk about the equipment. Very simple equipment. You need blender. I would highly recommend a NutriBullet or a Blendtec or a Ninja. This is my favorite brand, I would say. They are very expensive, but phones are much more expensive, and we always have a really nice phone. So I bought my Vitamix like 8 years ago, and apart from being vegan and deciding to become vegan, this is probably the second best decision that I made. So it's so worth to have one if you really want to enhance your vegan experience. If you don't have it, for raw cakes, I have done them with NutriBullet, which is in a budget, so this is much cheaper than this, and it still works fine. Obviously this is better, but with this one you can still do it. For a raw cheesecake, I would use this size, and this is more for other things, but for a raw cheesecake, this size is good. But this, beautiful, if you can have it, let it happen. And also we will need a food processor. So food processors, I always say to people, put the majority of your investment in the blender. Whatever left over in this. I got this actually from Salvo's like 8 years ago. If I do this, there's something that, there's a little sound like something loose inside, like a piece of plastic, but it still works. So don't spend too much money on a food processor. If you have those ones that have the blade at the top that you can do for the veggies, that's super fine. But to be honest, you don't need a fancy food processor. But a blender for raw cheesecakes, you need to blend cashews, and they are really hard, even though you have to soak them. But blender is the most important thing. And for sure, we need the molds. So you will have different sorts of them, different sizes. So this one got stuck in here. So if you want a little bit of crust on the side, you can have the tart one, or you can have the spring one. You open here, it expands, and then you take it out. But my favorite one is this one, because it has the beauty that, the beauty that you just slide your cake, and it's super easy. And the cakes I made one in this, in a twin mold that I have, and the other one is like this one, but a bit smaller. So 2 cakes of this size, so I think it's enough for everybody. And I also did a baby size, like this. Happy to share as well. Other thing, you will need measuring cups, spoons, very important. Scale, sometimes it's very important to measure accurately. And silicone spatulas, I'm a huge fan of them. I cannot live with them, especially for zero waste task. When you make creams here, you will have a super thick layer. So if you do this, probably 20% of your cream will be here. And I've seen restaurants, then the smoothie, and they go to the water, and it's like, come on, there's a lot of nutrients that are wasted there. So it's really easy to do this, and then you will get probably 95 or 98% of your food. And toothpick, if you want to do some decoration at the end, I will show you. Hopefully, I will have time to do that. And for sure, you need bowls. I don't know where my bowls are. I think. Yeah, hang on. Yeah, I missed this one. So bowls, sometimes strainers for soaking the nuts and seeds. And for decoration, I highly recommend squeezy bottles that have a wide mouth, because at the end you will have a leftover and you want to be able to put the spatula inside. And I don't like them when they're too long because I cannot reach, okay? So I always think about not wasting food. If you don't mind about wasting food, then you can use any other one. I think, sorry for interrupting, I need a little bit of water. If it's somewhere available, I will be happy. Thank you. And what else I have here? The components of the cake, basically, we all know we have a crust, thank you. We have a base, we have a creamy filling, which is the one that sets. So nothing of this has to be baked. So I'm literally teaching you how to make a bliss bowl recipe for the base and like a very thick smoothie for the cream with some techniques to make them set. And that's where I want you to pay attention, because smoothies, we can make a smoothie, but how to make it set, that's the key of the cake. And in the end, what I want you to be able, that you can create your own cheesecake. I mean, you can go online and there will be hundreds of them. but just having the basic notion and you make your own, considering how to keep the proportions so your cake will be tasty, sweet, creamy, and that sets. That's all you need to make for it to be successful. Okay, now I need to talk about sweeteners because it's a dessert. So for the sweet, I always use dates for the crust. So you have two options. You can chop the dates and you process them, as I will show you for the recipe, or you can also make date paste. I like to make date paste, so I grab 2 boxes of dates and I make this, and it lasts probably 1 or 2 weeks, so I can put it on my porridge. I usually eat porridge every day, so I put this on my porridge. So I'm making my porridge sweet with dates. So for me, dates are 3 in 1: superfood, sweetener, and binder. So superfood, there's nothing more nutritious than a date. They're bind because they are very sticky. So if I want to make the base of the cake, I cannot have only powdered nuts and powdered oats because it's crumbly and pure solid. So I need something that makes it like a silly dough. So dates are the best option. You can also use raisins, or if you have, I don't know, apricots because you want a blondie crust, that's fine, or any dry fruit will work. But date paste for me is one of the best options also for nutrient point of view. The only thing is that it's brown, so obviously you have to consider that your food will change color maybe. So if you're making a chocolate mousse, I will 100% use date paste instead of white sugar, for example. I usually don't use white sugar. In this recipe I'm using coconut sugar, which is healthier than white sugar, but still sugar. So if you eat lots of sweets, you know, you have to go to the gym, you have to do yoga, you have to run, you have to keep yourself active. So I'm going to use date paste for my crust, and for this, for the creamy part, I will use syrup, which is coconut sugar, and in this proportion, I put 1 cup of any sugar of your choice. In this case, I use coconut in a 1/3 cup of water. Some of that I have used just half because I don't need as much sugar for this cake. And you can store this in the fridge for a month, so you have something practical. You can also use from the shop. You can use coconut nectar, maple syrup, agave, or different sorts of stevia that we have available. Now in the market we can have this type of sweeteners. They're also good to work with if you're trying to reduce the white sugar content. So really good idea. So how do I formulate my crust? So this is pretty much how to make a bliss ball as well. So pretty much you will need 1.5 cup of any of those things. And let's say in any proportion. I mean, there's no right or wrong on how to make a cake. As long as it holds itself and it has a good taste. There's nothing wrong with using pure nuts and seeds or pure coconut or half, 25% each, 90, 20, 10, 80, etc., etc. You can play with that. So that's my intention, that you play with it rather than, oh, the recipe says this and this and this. But if you want a nutty, chocolatey crust, I will tend more to this side. But if I want more tropical, fruity crust, I will go more to that side, okay? And then I will add a sweetener. My suggestion is always date paste. 1/4 cup, half a cup, 1 cup. It depends. If it's date paste, it'll be pretty much super smooth, so it'll have more holding power. So you will need less. But if you use the dates, chopped dates, they will be like crumbs or like chunks. So maybe you will need more because you are not taking the most of its creaminess. So something like 1.5 cup with this proportion of sweet. If you're making a light color crust, you can use dry apricots, for example, or sultanas. Flavor it in the way you like. You can add something between 1 or 2 tablespoons of the flavor that you want to confer. Maybe you want it chocolatey, maybe you want it with matcha, maybe you want to put some coffee, maybe you want to add ginger powder or cinnamon, etc. If you use spices, obviously you might need less because they are more overpowering. So if I'm for example making like what is this thing we eat in Easter with the hot cross bun? I can make bliss balls with that inspiration, so I can use clove powder, cinnamon powder, ginger powder, but not tablespoons because it's way too much, but maybe teaspoon wise, 1 teaspoon, half a teaspoon, some less amount. Citrus, always welcome. If you're making chocolate, maybe with the orange peel, that's really nice. Or if you're making almond with a little bit of lemon zest, also nice. So you can decide. I would not say to put everything, okay? It's just choose. Because putting everything, it'll be like a rainbow of colors in your palette, of flavors, sorry. And also you can use essential oils. I just have this because I'll use it for one of the recipes. So doTERRA is a very pricey brand, but there are also ones that are not so expensive, but just make sure that they are quality. And at the end you need drops of them. You will not add a teaspoon of this because it will be unedible, but you will add maybe 3-4 drops. So pay attention, it's just the proportion. How much of sweetener, the base, essential oils, drops, and teaspoon or up to taste, or 1 or 2 tablespoons. So this is pretty much the proportion of ingredients that we need to have a crust that has that rolling effect like silly dough. And you can always adjust. Oh, it's very watery. Maybe you add a little bit of oat flour or more ground nuts. Or oh, it's not sticky enough, then you add more dates or you add more date base. So it's very intuitive as you cook with it or as you make them. And now for the filling formulation. The cake that I'm teaching today is pretty much this. It's really 22 centimeters. So for this type of cake, I would use 350 grams of cashews. If it's bigger, if it's something like this, I would definitely use 400, maybe 450. I cannot tell you exactly how much because molds are different. Maybe you have a mold that is between these two, so maybe you will need 420, I don't know. But you make, for example, 350, you know your mold, and then from there you can work it out. Like 350, pretty much enough for this. I usually blend it in 2 parts because it's you will see when I make the filling, it's a challenge even for a vitamin it can be a challenge, and for sure they can do it, but you want to preserve and look after your equipment as well. So for, let's say 350, I would ignore for now the 400. 400 I would say for a bigger cake. But for 350 grams of cashews, which is the base, I will use 2 cups of liquid. Which liquid? Well, if you want a white layer cheesecake, you can use veggie milk, oat milk, coconut milk. If you want like a traditional white cheesecake. But if you want to explore, like today I made 1 blueberry and I made 1 with mango passion fruit, then you replace those 2 cups of milk for 2 cups of fruit. Or you could put 1 cup of milk and 1 cup of fruit. You can play with that. There's no right or wrong, as long as you don't overdo, because if you put 3 cups, then you will have a smoothie that will never set, okay? So it's more about keeping the proportions. In this one that I'm doing, I'm keeping it very fruity. I knew it was going to be a hot day, so I wanted to very fruity. And I love fruits, so I focus on fruits. So in this one, I'm not using milk. And very important, actually there's another slide specifically for setting agents, but for now I will say we have 4 options: coconut oil, cacao butter, sea moss gel, and psyllium husk. The advantage of each of them I will tell you later, but we need at least 1 of them for our cake to set. Otherwise they will not set. They will be liquid forever, and you don't want that. So that's why you need to put these ingredients and put it in the fridge for at least, I would say 4 hours, but ideally overnight. So you make your cake ideally the day before. Sweeteners, I used for this one coconut sugar, but again you can use any liquid sweetener, not honey, please. You can use maple, or the syrup I made with coconut sugar and some water. You can use that paste. It might change the color a little bit. If you're fine with that, no problem. I use this one for example, this one has coconut sugar, and it's still purple. It didn't become that dark because of the coconut sugar. Something that I find very peculiar is sometimes I see cheesecakes and I see the ingredients, I mean vegan cheesecakes, and there's no nutritional yeast. I'm like, how can you make a cheesecake without the cheesy part of the recipe? So please always add nutritional yeast to your cakes. For a 350 gram cashew base, I would say 2 tablespoons or even more. But you can try 2, and you give it a taste, and then I want a bit more, or it's fine. And this one is totally optional. If you make the cake for yourself and you're at home, share it with friends, that's fine. Do not bother in getting it. But in a case like me, that I made them yesterday, that I had them in the car commuting in the Esky with ice blocks, and I was like bringing them to the cool room, I want to help my cakes to stay stable. So soy lecithin is an emulsifier, so it has affinity with both oil and water. So the molecule is friend of both. You know, it's like the intermediates. Okay, these two are enemies, and the soy lecithin is like, come on, we can talk, we can be friends. So I hold you water, I hold you oil. Let's stay together. Let's be friends. So that's why the soy lecithin does. But again, it's totally unneeded if it's for yourself. If you're going to make a cake for an event, if you want to transport the cake, or if you sell them and you need to, make them last in stability, you can use it. And flavoring, this is like a canvas, so you can explore according to the liquid or the fruits that you're using. If I'm using, I don't know, passion fruit and mango, maybe I would say, yeah, maybe it doesn't need, or maybe a drop of lemon, etc. Or something that we do a lot is that we do raspberry cheesecake. Or raspberries, when you make them in a cream, they're not so colorful. Unfortunately, the fruit is bright red, but when you blend them, they're a bit like mild. And then when you put it on the fridge, they get even more mild. And then we cheat a bit, and then we use dragon fruit for the cream, which is super bright. And then we put raspberry drops, and then it tastes like raspberry, and it has that bright color. So those are little tricks, and they're still healthy. I'm just changing the raspberry for dragon fruit, or I can split a little bit of raspberry for the flavor, but colorful dragon fruit for the color. And lemon zest again, or lemon juice, vanilla, essential oils, and I forgot to say, both the crust and the filling, we always put some salt. It's like when Italians make the bolognese, hopefully a vegan one, they put some sugar to balance the acidity of tomato. Same as we are using a lot of sweetness, we want to add a little bit of salt to make a contrast of flavor. So ironically, a little bit of salt can enhance the flavors really in a really good way. So now I want to talk about the how to make my cake to set, and this is very critical. So in this recipe, I'm going to use coconut oil, which is here. I'm using coconut oil and cacao butter, which is, cacao butter. Cacao butter, it smells a lot like cacao, like chocolate. But it has a higher point of fusion point. So that means that it's more heat resistant. So it's convenient that I use the cacao butter, because my cake will be more resistant to the heat, and especially today, that's convenient. But it will provide a lot of cacao flavor, and maybe that's not what I want. And coconut oil, as you can see, it's very liquid. Now it's super liquid. If I go home at night, it might get solid because the temperature drops. But now, how can I make this setting in a cake? So I can combine them. So I can use only coconut oil, but again, if it's this weather, maybe not good idea. Or I can pair it with 35 grams of cacao butter. 35 grams is pretty much like 10% of the cashew content. If I'm using 350 cashew grams, 350 grams of cashew, maybe 35 grams of cacao butter. So this combination will have an advantage over this one because it will be more heat resistant. However, it will have maybe a hint of cacao flavor. If that's okay, go for it. But if you want it really, really fruity, maybe you prefer another option. Then I will have, this one is really nice, but it's more pricey. I lived in Bali for 3 years, and there the seaweed is super accessible, super affordable, and we used to make the sea moss paste from scratch, and it's super cheap there. And I feel so sad because here it's not so cheap. So if I get it on a shop, I mean, you can, and it's really nutritious. There's 90 something minerals on this. So this is a real superfood. So it has the advantage that it has this like jelly, I don't know if you can see, it's like we call it the raw vegan gelatin, because the vegan gelatin is the agar, but the raw vegan gelatin is the seaweed. So I literally soak the seaweed, obviously not this, I soak probably 2 cups of seaweed, and it will bulk up and it will get swollen, like, I don't know the word, yeah, get bigger. And then with minimum amount of water, you blend it and you will have this. And this is super healthy. It has a very mild flavor. You can put it on smoothies to make them a little bit thicker, or creams or desserts, and obviously for the raw cakes as well. So you could pair a half cup instead of 3/4, half cup of coconut oil with half cup of sea moss gel. It's also called Irish moss gel, so it's pretty much the same, maybe not exactly the same because some of them have different colors, but for the cooking techniques is similar. So this is another option, much less caloric, but it's more expensive, and it has this raw element of keeping food under 45 degrees. And we have another option, which is the psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is very affordable. You can find it in the supermarket. It's really used for constipation issues because it's pretty much fiber. So the beauty of psyllium husk, when I did last year my workshop of when I made the vegan mozzarella, this is what I used. Why? Because when I have the psyllium in water, it becomes like this. So it's very stretchy. So when I make when I made my mozzarella, it was pretty much cashews with some combination of this and all the nutritional juices, the paprika, the salt, etc. So this stretchy, rubbery mixture, you can use it to make your cake to hold. So this has a huge holding power, and that's something very beneficial for my cake. So these are 4 of the options that I know to make your raw cake set. Maybe there are more, but I'm not just aware of them. The ones I usually use the most here in Australia, I would stick to this one. If it's summer, I would avoid this unless now I am at home with aircon. Yeah, but if it's summer outside, I would prefer to use this option. And this option, if I have access to the sea moss gel in a more affordable way, I would definitely stick to this one. And you can also try this one. You might see a little bit of neat micro dots on the cake, but to be honest, that doesn't matter. And flavor-wise, it's totally irrelevant because even though this one per se has a strange mild flavor, it will not affect your cake significantly.
Sorry, Vanessa, would you blend the psyllium husk to make it smoother when you mix it with the butter?
Actually, when I make the cake, I will add it to the smoothie. Yeah. If I'm making like mozzarella, for example, you can put it alone on the side and then you blend it. But in the end, you have all this liquid and just chuck it in there and just blend it quickly. Because if not, it starts to make clumps. Like bulbs. I forgot you know, undesired. So yeah, basically this is pretty much what you need to know how to make your cake set. And then what I have later. So now I'm going hands-on. So I'm making the crust. So for the crust, I will use the food processor. I need to make some room here. I'm using, these are the two recipes that I did. So one cake has the nutty combination and the other cake has the fruity combination. Finally, I made berries and mango, the creamy part, and then I made the crust. And I said berries go with cacao, and I made the chocolatey for the berry, and I made an almond mango for the mango, and then I poured the cake in the wrong spot. So now you have mango passion fruit on chocolate crust, still goes well, and you have berry, blueberry, pinky, whatever on the almond coconut. Yeah. So anyway, that's an effect of doing the cakes after night shift, you know. So probably my brain was not functioning properly. So I will start with the crust. So for the crust, I will use this one. This one? Which one? I forgot now. This one. Ah, yeah, this one. Okay. So I will use. This is 1.5 cup of almond and oats. I already processed them because I had to do the other cake, so I did a lot. But yeah, let's pretend like I have the almonds whole here. And then you just dry, you don't have to soak anything. When you need to make something dry, you don't soak. If you want something creamy, you will soak. And I will talk about soaking later. So you do your crumbly thing. Don't do too much because the almond, it will start to become almond paste. And you don't want that, or almond butter actually. So after this, you will add your, I'm adding some coconut. I already measured 6 tablespoons. I think I'm doing, which one I'm doing? Well, I'm putting coconut on this one, sorry. I put mango here, but I'm using coconut. And I will process. I forgot to say that at the end of the class, I will have this little brochure. I will explain later on the screen, okay? So these flyers, if the wind does not take them, you can take them home with pretty much the information that I'm sharing here. And I'm using a little bit of mango. I thought I had brought more mango. And I'm also using the date paste. So the date paste, it says like 1 cup, like maximum 1 cup, because it's not liquid, it's a paste. It has a lot of holding power, more than the raw date. So I don't need as much. So I would say like 3/4 cup or 1/2 cup. I'm not measuring just because of time, and I'm used to the amounts. But imagine I'm using my measuring spoons, and yeah, we say we make food by eye percentage. So it'll start to cake up, and you will need to get like a cookie dough consistency. Something that you can pretty much roll like this. If you feel like it's too watery, oh, I put too much of this or that, that's no problem, because if it's too watery, you could add, let's say, a little bit extra. This is the same almond oats. Oh, I put too much, then you adjust. Or vice versa. Oh, it's too dry, put more dates, you know. Remember, recipes when I say dates, which dates, you know, some dates are different. Some are really hard, some are really big. Sometimes the recipe says 4 dates. Some are like this and some are like this. So be always open to the idea of adjusting. And there's nothing wrong with every recipe that you mess up, you can fix it. And I'm sure that most of the best recipes started because they made a mistake. So I think I will leave it like this. Yeah, it looks, yeah. Let's put the salt, sorry. I should put a bit of salt. Really nice. My salt. Where's my salt? What's the time? For the salt, we will put a little bit. For the crust, I would say like a 1/4 teaspoon. Not too much. And then I will use my mold. So basically, I will take everything out of the mold, the food processor. And yeah, you can maybe put it in this dirty thing. You can put there. Yeah, you can put it there. So I will transfer everything. I will need this one that's stronger. So I would say that for the base, something that sums up like 2 cups, that'll be enough to cover. Because at the beginning you are like, huh, is it too much? The worst thing that can happen is that it's too little, then you prepare more. Or if it's too much, you can just take out and then you make a couple of bliss balls with the leftover. I mean, you will never make a big mistake. So I take all this, and maybe here you can help me to remove that little bit extra. This one. So then I will start flattening. I can put it here. I think it's enough. And this one's dirty. Here. So I start flattening. So I'm trying to do it like this so you can see. So if I do it like this, it's very rough, you know, it's not neat. So then you can use like a flat spatula. Just make it nice and even, as flat as possible so you don't have any air pockets. And then just smooth it out. You can even use your hands and flatten. Where's the paper? Oops, very windy. You can even check how the crust is. You take it out a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, it's pretty much flat enough. It's just to make sure that there's not one side way too taller than the other one. And then you put it back in. Tap, tap. Just accommodate. You could put it in the fridge in the meantime, but you don't have to because this is pretty much not liquid, okay? So I would put it aside for a while. And now we'll make the cake. For this filling, I am using, I will make half of the recipe. Why? Because if I make the full recipe, I will pretty much fill the mold, and I have to drive back home with a liquid cake. So that would be a risk. So I will make half of it, and actually when you make half of it, you can make two colors. You can make half of one color, and then the other half, you can make half of berry and half of mango, or half of vanilla, white vanilla, and the other half of chocolate. So it allows you to be a bit more creative. So that's why I'm using just half of the recipe. So I'm explaining you this recipe, and I'm adding all those ingredients, but I will add half of what it says there, only because I need to take this home safe. So I will start with the cashews. So 350 grams. So in this case I use 175. 175. Something important about nuts and seeds when I want to make a creamy recipe, I should soak them. From the raw food perspective, that's a way of activating the nuts and seeds. And activating means that I am making their nutrients more available. I'm keeping their enzymatic activity available for me as well. If I cook them, I'm not saying that's wrong, but that enzymatic activity, which is very beneficial for my metabolism, will be depleted. But the protein will be there, the fat will be there, the carbs will be there. So nutrient-wise, I'm not killing the food. Some of my raw vegan friends, like fully raw, they say no, cooked food is dead and la la la. It's like, come on, when you cook the tomatoes, you activate the lycopene. So it's also a bit of balance, sometimes a bit raw, sometimes a bit cooked. So if you forget to soak them, because sometimes it happens, you can cheat and you can put hot water for like 10 minutes. But if you want to keep it raw, living with all the enzymatic beauty, then you soak them overnight, okay? So when I soak them, very important, sometimes people soak them and then after soak they re-weigh and they, oh, but it's more than 350, of course, because the water has been absorbed, but you weigh 350 when they're dry, and once you soak, they will expand in volume for sure, in weight. You do not re-weigh, because then you will have like 400 something, and you might think that you have to get rid of some of the cashews. If you do so, your cake will be diluted and your cake will not set properly. So you will measure when they are dry and no more. And then you just remove this water. I already did, and I washed them because that's the intention. There's also some, we call them anti-nutrients. Not that they will kill you, but they will make your digestion a little bit more a bit slower. So it's good to get rid of them. There's something like phytic acid and other things that they can interfere a little bit in our digestion. So it's good to get rid of them. So I will soak them. I will wash them. I already did, but obviously. So imagine I'm under the sink and I'm rinsing. And then I have my activated or soaked cashews. So these ones, oops. In this water I get rid of it, okay? If I make date paste, for example, I will soak the dates in a very little amount of water, because I'm not activating them, I'm just softening them for the blending. So that water will absorb part of the sugary contents of the dates, and I don't want to waste that sugary content. So I will blend that water, and that's why I want to add a little bit of water, because I don't want a smoothie, I don't want a liquid paste, you know, okay? But when it's this is not only for softening, because they are softening, this is also for the raw activation. So in this case, I will add a lot of water, because I want them to remove all this phytic acid and all these anti-nutrients, and I really want to get rid of that water after I don't use it, okay? So sometimes people confuse, they soak dates and a lot of water, and then they drain with no, a little bit just to make them soft. You put the dates flat. If you have something the flatter, the better. You put them flat, and you put a little bit of water, and then you blend it. But cashews, you put a lot of water, a lot, because they will actually grow. So if you don't put too much water, then they will be like over the surface, and you want them to be totally immersed. Okay? So half of the recipe. So I'm using cashews. I'm making this one. So I have half of the mango. Actually, I brought a bit less. I think I made wrong with the amounts because I also put a little bit on the crust. But it's fine because I have enough passion fruit, so it will be more passion fruit than mango. I said 170 grams of passion fruit just because that's what it comes in this. This is pretty much 170, but I would guess it's probably like half a cup or something. So I should be adding a little bit less, but because I put less mango, I will compensate with this. I will not add it straight away because I don't want to destroy all the seeds, and it's just a aesthetic thing or preference thing. I think it's nice that you have the cake with this crisp of the seed, so I will leave it for the end. Or maybe I add a little bit and then I add the other part. And I will have my coconut sugar, which is half of this, so half a cup, in a sixth, which is like 3 tablespoons of the water. So I will put it here. Sometimes the sugar sticks to the bottom. And I added the water just before the presentation, so it's not something that I made at home. And maybe a little bit of water. Okay, let's shake it. Oh, it's very red all the time. And I will have lemon juice, so a little bit of something sour. Also, if you compare with this one has more, just because the passion fruit is very, very, very sour. So I will put lemon juice, high percentage, and I will put my setting mixture, which is that they're together. And because it's very warm, they're already, especially the cacao butter, already melted. If they are not melted, because maybe at your house you have the chance, I would do like a Mary bath to make it soft. I don't want to put like proper chunks of pure fat because I might get these tiny micro cubes of fat. So I would prefer to take the effort, to make the effort to blend them, or sorry, to melt them. So this will make my cake set. And what else? Nutrition is very important because a cheesecake. Where's my microphone? Microphone is all over the place. Okay, so I'm calling for 2 tablespoons for a big or 350 gram cake. Oops. Okay, that's less. So I will add 1, or you can add 1.5, and for the big one maybe you add 3, but it's very personal. And I will have also vanilla. I got some vanilla, yeah, like a teaspoon. And a bit of salt. So I'm adding 1/4 teaspoon of salt, very small amount, so half of that. Where's my salt? It's just personal taste. Yeah, I'm a big fan of vanilla, so I will always add it. Maybe if it's like a lemon pie, maybe not, or maybe yes, I don't know. But it's very personal. If you don't want to add it, you don't have to. But yeah, that's pretty much the reason. And optional, I will have the soy lecithin because I will drive with this liquid cake, so I need help so it doesn't get too soft. And I will blend a little bit of the passion fruit. And then the other one I will leave it with the seeds whole. It's just personal preference. You could add it all together straight away. And then I will blend. So these seeds will be very tiny, but these ones I will just, what do you say when you do a little bit? Pulse. Just for keeping some seeds whole. So yeah, pretty much it. I'm sure that no ingredient has been left, just in case. And I will pour my cake onto the mold. Put it here. I will tap it, but I need a firm surface. But maybe here. Maybe a cloth. Yep. So by tapping, I just want to make sure that it will go all the way down. In one of the cakes, before pouring the cream, I put a layer of blueberries. You can do so. In the tasting, you will see. It's very noisy. As you tap, you will see like some bubbles because it's trapped and it's escaping. And you can do a little bit of a wiggle. If it gets a little bit creamy or messy on the sides, you can use like a spatula just to clean the edge. This one is neat enough, but just as a reference. I can, as an effect of surprise, as I said, you can add those fruits on the bottom. You have more? Yeah, just add it there. And also, just because I have a leftover from one of the ones I made yesterday, I will show you some other things we can do. Thank you. So we can have the surprise effect, so we can put blueberries or anything, pieces of mango, strawberry. Because I'm probably short of time, I'm not taking the time to do as many as I would wish. And then I can poke them. So I hide them. Or you can put a layer, as I said before. And then you can cover. I would put more, but just because it will take longer. And then I cover again. Other thing you can do, just because I'm demoing, showing. So this cake, if it gets messy, it doesn't matter because it's for me to show. If I have cream, I can like pierce the cake. So I can punch and put like a, I would feel like it's coming out. Probably like a tablespoon in each injection. So I would use one, I would either use the blueberries or this one, but I just want to show you many things, okay? And then you can pierce and press, and then you put a lot, and then with a skewer, maybe you do this, and then inside you are making like a marble effect, okay? So it's like a canvas, there's no technique or there's no perfect way to do it. It's just be playful. Or you can even splash the creamy colors on top, you know? Other thing you can do is like this barista style. So obviously if you want to stand you can see a little bit better, but I can show a little bit like this, so you can do lines. So I'm pouring. So I'm using half of the cake. So I'm doing this type of zigzag, and then feel free to come closer if you wish. I would have a skewer or a toothpick, clean, and then I go one direction, I lift it, and then I return, and then I come back, and then return, and then this, like this. If you go on YouTube, you can find lots of ideas. So you have these like wheat streaks, or you can do the common flour hearts. You do big spots. And then with the same stick, you draw a line. So you deform the drop into like a heart shape. So then you do this, and then you will get like leaf or heart shapes. And again, you can do pretty much anything you want, or you can do dots. So I will not extend here too much. I'm just trying to do as much as I can do on a 20 centimeter mold. So pretty much this is the basics for your raw cheesecake, and I think I have something else to share. Not in this one because I need to set it first, but on the other ones I did, is how to make a jelly topping. So jelly topping, you can use a gun. If you find this in the Asian shops, it's super easy to find. Make sure it's the white one, because I got this one and then I got the green one, unless you want something green. So they come in different colors, blue, red, green, but make sure you get the white one. If you go to the healthy shops, probably like Go Vita or this type of shops, they usually have the white one. And I usually buy, and I have it on my computer container, and I use it every time I need. Roughly a teaspoon of agar powder per cup of liquid. Maybe more if you want it more firmer, or maybe less if you want it softer. It's just common sense, but like a teaspoon per cup of liquid, that'll do. So what you have to do, you can mix it with some of the fruits, with passion fruit pulp, or with the puree of berries or mango, or even milk. You can replace fruit with milk if you want a solid whitish layer. And of course some of the sweetener. In this one I didn't want to add dark sweetener, so I added liquid stevia, so the color is not affected. Again, you can use this stevia or monk fruit from the shops because they are really white, so it's convenient for the aspect of the cakes. You have to boil them. if you don't boil them, the activation of the jelly power is not there. So you have to boil them. After you boil them, you will not pour it here because you will kill your cake. You put your cake in the fridge, and when it's, you know, like not necessarily hard, but that you do this and you don't get sticky fingers, then you have it ready, but you have to get your agar mild, the temperature. So what I do is like I put like a spoon. I don't want to pour the agar straight onto that because I will pierce. So I will pour it on top of something, and then like a waterfall, it comes much nicer. So it's a way to protect your cake. Again, if you're doing this top, omit the jelly top. I'm giving you all the options, but in the end you will decide what combination you will do. So that's something nice for also to give an options that the vegans, we can also have gelatin, we can have something as a replacement. And algae, this agar is pretty much algae, so it's quite healthy. Ideas, go for it. If you Google, you can go crazy. You can do solid color, 350 grams. You can put a layer of fruits on the bottom, one color. You can divide your cream into 3, and vanilla, raspberry and blackberry. And you can do the punch that I did on top rather than inside, and then with the stick you do this. You can do the little shapes I did on the top. I did a little bit of zigzag and the hearts. You can do 2 crusts, chocolate crust, berry crust, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and then the marble on top. If you want to go really crazy, you can do the basic one. Yeah, simple crust, simple cream, jelly topping, or you can do the classic cheesecake, white color, berry on top. So yeah, the universe is for you to explore. This is the puzzle. You don't have to take a photo because I have flyers, and I think I have enough flyers. If not, I will keep one flyer for me and take a photo of the flyer. So choose your crust, nutty or fruity, and combine, or maybe adjust the amount. You don't have to use this as a reference, as a guideline, but be playful. And remember that every mistake you will make, you will be able to fix it. You just need to know how to fix it. And what to do in the food processor, and then choose your filling, passion fruit or berry, and choose one, not all, please choose only one of the setting combinations, and these ingredients and the flavorings as you wish. How to make it, please, important to soak and get rid of the water. And for the fruity layer, how to do it with the agar if you want to do it. And I think with this you are pretty much capable to do a bliss bowl recipe, a smoothie recipe that we'll be able to set up, and you can play with them and especially share with people and promote the vegan lifestyle also, not from the for sure from the animal rights point of view, but also from how delicious the vegan food can be. I think this is all I have to share. I will end up with let's change the world with kindness and compassion to all kinds, not only to humankind. I also teach yoga, and every time I finish a yoga class, I finish with my favorite mantra, which is Lokaha Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all living beings on earth be free, happy, free from suffering, and may all my words, my thoughts and actions contribute to the freedom and the happiness of all these beings and creatures. So happy to share all this with you. I will start getting my cakes. I will need probably to step aside because there's another talk coming. So shall we, are we short of time for the next one? Yeah, so I know. So I will maybe put the cakes to one side so I start cutting them.
Yeah, we'll set up a table on the side.
And I have a little table that I brought from, so I can.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you.
And this is the flyer if you want to take home. Just make sure that you cover it back because it's very windy. And yeah, maybe like this. Yes. So yeah, just take one, and I'm happy if you have questions, you can send me a DM on Veggienessa Instagram.